Well, all right. Now, do you have any estimates of how far east this stuff has generally spread? Again, going back to the highest concentrations. Obviously, there's not much bluefin tuna around, Nevada, New Mexico, Texas. We don't have that down here. But how far east has it come? Any data coming back? Or is everybody mum?
I've been keeping up to date with that. It's a great point, John. On my site, drrapsley.com, you have some recent links that is on my radiation antidote tab. And it now shows that the West Coast was socked in really hard. There were spots in Colorado and Wyoming that were hit hard. Jacksonville, Florida was one of the highest because of the wind currents. But over in Pennsylvania, right where my daughter's going to Drexel University now, it was the hardest hit in the nation because of the rainfall. It was the most intense during the immediate 3 weeks after we started receiving the radiation here. And we had a death rate experience of 48% increase there with the infants in that greater Philadelphia area as a direct result. In Vancouver, Canada, there was a 60% increase in infant death rate. Now, those are signals. Those are the first waves of what's to come. And what's to come, in my book, my personal opinion, can be fully prevented. We have the technology, we have the means, and we can make it so that everyone enjoys it. Those are the areas that got particularly hit hard, but we do have some areas that weren't. South Florida was not, the Caribbean, Central America, South America, none of those areas were hit. Europe received some fallout that they'll have to pay for with their health, but not nearly as much as ours. They'll probably experience 1% of what Japan will experience. We'll experience maybe 5 to 15% the damage on our health that Japan will experience. Those are my estimates. But so far, John, because I do math in my head with common sense as opposed to what a lot of mathematicians want to get into, and they always have to be revised, keep in mind that there has been no mathematical model that has ever been based upon actual real data that's occurred in history, such as Chernobyl. They just keep on using theoretical number systems that never turn out to be accurate. I used the actual historical numbers in my math. And this is how I came to the conclusion that Japan will suffer on up to 5 to 7 million deaths over 20 years, not right up front, and maybe 8 million to 25 million maimed over that time period, the kids that are to be born because of the parents' damage to their reproductive centers. And that we'll get about 15% or less of that over here. And for sure over here, that's preventable. Even if folks never buy my book, they can make their own smoothies at their local health food store with the things I'm telling them about here. And to get more information, you just listen more and more to Coast Radio.
Straighten me up on something. Now, 67 years ago, 2 A-bombs went off in Japan. How much tracking has been done on the decline or adjustment in health for the successive generations, their baby boomers? Ugh, what an unfortunate term in this case, but they're baby boomers. The cities are up and running again. They look great. They're very flash. But were there decades and decades of lingering health issues with the Japanese there after those bombs?
It's a fascinating question. My book goes into 2 hospitals, one that was on one side of Ground Zero, about 1.2 miles away, and another hospital 1.2 miles away on the 180 degrees opposite. In one of the hospitals, they suffered up to 100% mortality rate, both the staff and the patients, for the survivors that were able to walk in the door. But the other hospital, St. Thomas, they were able to have 100% recovery. Part of that reason was they used a diet therapy that is easy to do. I've made it into a smoothie format because, Americans love fast foods and easy foods. But you can cook with these same foods and start radioactive protection for yourself. fresh vegetables, mushrooms, certain fruits, other kinds of soups. Those are things that the Japanese used at that hospital. The other thing that was in their favor was that the way that the A-bomb was designed, as opposed to what's happened at Fukushima, is that there was a more perfect energy conversion, so that there were much less radioactive particles that lingered in the environment. So when they had no historical precedent to make calculations to project trends, they mistakenly used the Hiroshima and Nagasaki data to say what would happen with a certain amount of release of radioactivity into the environment. It wasn't until about 10 years ago that scientists got the fact in their minds that, oh, wow, we forgot to calculate that there was much, much less radiation left on the ground there because most of it was converted into pure energy. But I have a startling fact. Now that we've talked about how to deal with it, I have a startling fact.
Tell it quick. We've got 30 seconds.
If Unit 4 falls, that's the equivalent of 1,100 Nagasaki bombs going off that are dirty.
Oh, Lord.
That's what we must alert ourselves to and know what to do.
Dr. John Apsley, thank you so much for being with us. His book is Fukushima Meltdown and Modern Radiation, Protecting Ourselves and Our Future Generations, drapsley.com. We'll be back with Dr. Teresa Dale on Coast to Coast AM.